Hi everyone, my name's Emma, my pronouns are she, her. So naturally, being British, I went to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But actually, yeah, I went to Brunel University in London and I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Product Design. So my thesis focused on the development and research of a service system to allow family entertainment centers to adapt their existing offerings into a holistic video game-like experience. I'm really delighted to have been given this opportunity. Let's start with a summary of the system itself. GamePortal allows venue operators to digitally augment their existing activities, creating a new holistic experience package where guests choose the theme of their adventure. For example, a family might choose space adventure and teenagers may choose Dungeons and Dragons. Each activity, such as augmented bowling or mini golf, will retheme its digital media to match each group's chosen theme. Guest scores are tracked across each activity using NFC wristbands that provide multimodal feedback and enable special effects custom to each guest. The group ends their adventure in a collaborative game using each of their abilities to win. GamePortal offers a relatively easily implemented solution for leisure venue operators to increase repeat visitation, dwell time, and per capita spending. Let's go through a sample customer journey. Starting from booking online and choosing a theme, you receive a wearable device and check in at your first activity by tapping the wearable against a touch point. The first activity is an immersive game box, a projection tracking room with touch-sensitive walls and motion tracking. These existing turnkey products are highly versatile and offer opportunities for unique new activities to be implemented for each theme as they are based on digital media. Guests begin by creating an avatar and choosing a special skill for their character. Then, the group plays a team game within the immersive game box, testing out their special skills. Directions to the next activity in the center are provided on screen. The wearable device will vibrate when they are nearby, and they will see a touch point glowing, ready to check into the activity. By completing activities, guests earn points and the ability to use their special skill, which in turn activates special effects in the area and on their wearable. Guests complete subsequent activities with upselling options, of course, and finish their adventure in the immersive game box yet again for another team-based activity and a group photo. So the project structure was based on a common product and service design process, the Design Council's Double Diamond design methodology. During each of these 4 phases, multiple product requirement specifications are produced to ensure constant progress reviews against a quantifiable set of metrics. As the process moves on, the specification becomes more specific, until enough decisions have been made and the project can be delivered. These phases are discover, define, develop, and deliver, which I will walk through today. The first phase is, sorry, I was one slide behind. The first phase is discover. Give me one second. To find out what key issues exist in a problem space, understand market needs, and user needs and desires. So why this topic? During my studies, I completed a year-long internship at Storyland Studios, where I saw the blue sky development of Ubisoft World take place. This project aimed to bring video games into the real world, working alongside Alterface to develop interactive experiences with Ubisoft IP. I saw that as video games become more and more common as attractions IP, the IP holders demand further game-adjacent experiences which meet consumer expectations set by the games themselves. In addition, we're seeing plenty of regional theme parks and FECs up their game in recent years, with demographic shifts whereby destination resorts become more inaccessible to the masses in many ways, and regional venues take the opportunity to capture those markets. So how can smaller venues, franchise LBE operators, and designers keep up with these trends without large development budgets? The key target demographics are Gen Z, digital natives, and Gen Alpha, coined digital super natives. In a survey of 18 to 24-year-olds in 2022, 41% of respondents said that they have played a social entertainment game in the last month. Generation Alpha, in particular, expect interactive technologies layered into every experience, according to market researchers at Stylus. Another 2022 study found that the top factor influencing choice of leisure activity is the ability to do it with friends and family. Consumers are seeking multi-generational leisure experiences, and location-based entertainment offers a chance for shared virtual experiences in the real world, combining the desire for out-of-this-world technologies with real-world social experiences. Aside from economic factors, some key restricting factors to implementing interactivity into attractions are capacity and expertise. Interactive attractions are notoriously difficult to keep high capacity, and by handing over creative decisions to guests, they are at risk of making choices that are detriment to their own experience. Okay, so the next phase. After understanding the market and extracting some key insights, I moved into the define phase. What is the project brief going to be? What is the root cause of the findings from Discover? And how can this inform an initial product requirement specification? An analysis of existing solutions to integrate interactivity and gamification sought to find the most intuitive, low-cost, high-capacity attractions available to leisure venues. Super Nintendo World, as many of you know, they have these power-up bands which stimulate repeat visitation, provide an experience true to the IP, with play at the heart, unlocking new experiences not possible without this upcharge item. Another one that was pretty interesting was the immersive game box, as I previously mentioned. It consists of a room with 3 projected walls, which are responsive to touch and motion. Players work together to play active games, which can be swapped out instantly. And the nature of this allows for new IPs to be integrated pretty quickly and often. Other FECs implement simple point-collecting games using RFID wristbands, which can be quite effective and intuitive, but offers little repeat visitation value. More complex IP-led experiences, like the Harry Potter ones at Universal, act as an attraction unto themselves at an additional cost to the guest. So this perceptual map illustrates the potential gap in the market for a medium capital expenditure service, providing an immersive experience package to attractions operators. So the brief was defined as the following. As digital natives expect highly interactive and gamified leisure experiences, how can these technologies become more accessible to a wide range of LBE venues? And in that, accessible is meaning easier to implement, maintain, and operate than current systems allow, at a lower price point. The third phase was to develop the idea through ideation, testing, evaluation against the specification, and further iteration. Moving into how to implement some of the concepts found during research, I turned to these 7 principles for creating immersive worlds by interactive experience designer Erica McKay. The first of these is to start with story. It's your through line and keeps everything connected. Second, fulfilling the wish of guests. So those wands, for example, everyone wants to be magic, so it gives people the opportunity to fulfill that wish. Next, define the roles, inviting guests to join your world, giving them a sense of agency and a character unto themselves. Enticing all senses, layering in details, setting up payoff, and keeping things fresh, so changing things over time. So this system could fulfill those principles in the ways shown on screen. For example, defining the roles, you make your avatar at the start of the experience, and you choose a special skill, which makes you feel like you've had agency over the whole experience at the start. So I did some basic user testing with paper wireframes on a wall, testing them with various groups of people to simulate a potential interface within the immersive gamebox environment. Interestingly, things like the lower reach limit of hands remained roughly the same for all of these participants, despite different heights, because people expressed they'd like to be moving around a little bit more, rather than remaining stationary. So really testing was so fundamental to understand how people interact with these newer interfaces. These insights informed the design of a simple avatar maker interface, which adjusts according to guest height and utilizes movements which feel natural during testing. Some foam prototyping and sketching for the touchpoint hardware piece were also invaluable in obtaining user feedback. Certain shapes invited certain motions, and a dipped shape on the front that fit that of the curved wristband was the most intuitive choice to all users. So really, this followed a product design process for a service project. The touchpoint hardware element had to be identifiable within dimly lit environments, and it must also have displayed its status clearly to all users, so using some color-changing lighting was an obvious choice here. Multiple backlighting options were considered before settling on an option which allowed for the touchpoint to be easily wall-mounted using standardized screws, and the light pattern would not be disrupted by this option. So this is the one on the far right, where you can see there's a light at the bottom that's then diffused through a tube around the side of the touchpoint. So to indicate system status clearly to all users and ensure adequate accessibility, multiple modes of interaction were considered for the wearable and the touchpoint. The touchpoint contains the backlight, plus a front-facing light and a loudspeaker. The wearable contains a color-changing light and haptic module to provide tangible and visual feedback, with specific haptic, sound, and lighting patterns for various system states. For example, the wearable and touchpoint both glow blue when a user must check in to an activity that is nearby. A small haptic nudge on the wristband prompts them to tap it onto the touchpoint when they're close. Customization is key to this system as a whole, as in video games, but this can be difficult to implement in a location-based environment. The first custom element is that special skill, which the player chooses at the start of their journey, which gives the guests a sense of agency throughout their experience. They have their role, and they must use their skill to help the rest of their team. Excuse me. Long week on the show floor. So to account for varying levels of engagement with the activities and overall experience, guest experiences are customized based on how they use the system. Based on Margaret Harrison's Scholars, Strollers, and Streakers model of engagement, scholars, who are people who want to see everything, I guess some people would call them divers, it's divers, swimmers, waders, the people who are the most invested in the game and do the most to it are given more detail and more complex tasks than others. And streakers, the people who are kind of running through the experience, wanting to see everything quickly, they're given a special ability to make their gameplay feel fairer, which helps to level the playing fields and make activities more fun for everybody at the same time. These involvement levels are not directly disclosed to guests, but it helps to keep things fun and level for everybody. Finally, moving towards delivering the hardware elements of the project, protocols for how activities and tracking methods function were worked out. This helped immensely in streamlining how the system functions, the connections protocols required between devices, and the overall system map, as you can see here. The only hardware items that require installation are touchpoints and turnkey augmented activity systems, such as the immersive gamebox and AR bowling. An existing Wi-Fi network in the venue connects all of these items, potentially through a cloud-based server or local server, depending on connection speeds. Wearables communicate with low power consumption, using the mains-powered touchpoints to send more complex data to activity systems. And this final phase of delivery is delivery of the concept with working drawings, CAD files, and presentation material and physical prototypes. So I have one with me right here. This was a 3D printed prototype, and the size of it, it would be able to fit all of the components required. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to completely build this and make it work, but I'd like to try that in future. Okay. Sorry, skipping through things. Yeah, so these are circuit diagrams for both the wearable and the touchpoint part, which then help to develop component choices for the printed circuit boards. So these circuit boards were developed as if they could work, but I did not have the capacity to fully build these things as yet. You can see inside the wristband here, all of the parts together. So it uses a minimal amount of parts to try and make this as low cost as possible. So some key learnings from this project. Test everything. First off, it really helps to get real feedback from real people. I think it's easy to get caught up in your own head in these kinds of things. And reacting to feedback where justified. Whenever I presented this project, people have said, hey, why can't you use a smartphone? It has a lot of the same functions as this wristband. I didn't fully agree with that. I think not everyone wants to be looking at their phones constantly when they're trying to have fun with their friends and family. But I see their point, and it could help for some instances. And finally, don't underestimate the power of people, because they will break anything if you give it to them, as I'm sure you all know. And design sprints are so useful, or charrettes. It can be highly effective in making real progress and nailing down the specification points. And finally, don't underestimate the power of sleep. That's for all the students out there. But yes, thank you so much for your time.
And time for one half question. Here we go. And my steps. I have a question about your wearables, and you talk about this. That, when you're doing the touch points, the proximity is very important. So you need to take a different type of wearable, which is like badge or something else. For that reason?
Yeah, so I looked at various form factors, and obviously a smartphone would also do the same functions in some ways. The wristband is proven to work pretty well for lots of different people. You know, if you're in a wheelchair or you don't have an arm to attach this wristband to, that kind of thing, you could always hold it. You know, the form factor is so you could, if you wanted, attach it to a necklace or something like that. But really, with the way this has been constructed, you could pretty easily remove the wristband and replace that with like a necklace or a keychain or something like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.